Okay, today we'll start off with one topic called as transaction. Okay, see, transaction is also one concept. Okay, generally the problem is you people don't know what is transaction properly. Okay, and without knowing that, you'll try to write the logic. So first understand the concept, what is transaction, and then we'll see how it is supported by Java to you. Understood? So always you have to understand what? Concepts, and then how it is supported by Java to you. It's there in the library. Hardly there are few things you have to do in Java, and you can do the transaction in Java. Okay. So first of all, what is transaction? The concept you'll understand now. Okay. So transaction is nothing but it's a process of doing. Okay. It's a process of doing a series of database operations as a single unit with all or nothing criteria. Understood? That's the definition of transaction. So you can write down the definition and meaning. I'll start explaining you now. So the heading would be transaction management JDBC. So transaction is a process of performing a series of database operations as a single unit with all or nothing criteria. That's the definition. Okay. So then next, when all the operations in that unit are successful, the transaction is successful, and we have to commit the transaction. When any one operation in that unit is failed, the transaction is failed, and we have to roll back the transaction. These are some few points. You write it. Okay, I'll be explaining you all this now. So when you implement the transactions properly in the application, it guarantees ACID properties. ACID is an acronym. Okay, the full form of ACID is atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Means this is how it stands. ACID. A stands for atomicity, C consistency, I isolation, and D durability. Okay. See now, don't think transaction is a subject which is related to Java. Transaction is a subject related to database. Okay. So first let's understand the meaning of transaction, and then we'll see the support given to you by Java language. Okay, excellent support you got for this also. Okay. So now, yes, we'll take the first point and start analyzing what it is. First 2 points I'll take. Transaction is a process of performing a series of database operations as a single unit with all or nothing criteria. Okay, this is what you have to tell in the interview. So now, let's see this. See, generally, you'll be having a table in the database. Let's take one small table here. I'll take one account number table, account type, and I'll have one more column called as balance. So assume that this is our table now, and is having 3 records, something like 11, 22, 33. Account number is 11, 22, 33. Assume that all are savings account. SA means savings account. You have got many types of account: savings account, current account, and all that. Okay. Now balance here would be 35,000. Here it is 60,000, and here it will be 15,000. My scenario is very simple. I want to transfer the money from this account number 11 to account number 33. How much I want to transfer? 5,000 rupees I want to transfer. A very simple scenario. Understood? So we want to transfer what? 5,000 rupees. I need space actually. 1 second. Correct only. 1 second, wait. Account type. Sorry, account number first. All our savings account, and here we have 35,000, here I have 60,000, and here I have 15,000. So I want to transfer some money from account number 11 to 5,000 rupees I want to transfer. Finally, after transferring, what will be the balance here? 30,000, and here it will be what? 20,000. It should be updated after you transfer. Okay. So see, till now you are doing when you are writing your queries, you are writing single query. Okay, but generally when you want to write logics now, you will be writing multiple queries. It's not that you will be writing a single query, you will be writing multiple queries. So now let's see, for doing this, how many queries you have to write. Okay, so for doing this transfer from one account to another account, okay, so what I will do is, see, first you have to select. There are some few operations you have to do. Select balance from what? Account number 11. I am not writing the queries. Generally I am writing the concept. This is the logic you have to write. This is the first thing you have to do. You have to write many SQL queries now. First you have to select the balance from account number 11. So then assuming that I am having one amount is equal to 5,000. So after I select that, so what will I do? I'll say amount new balance is equal to, I'll do the addition now. New balance is equal to int new balance is equal to amount plus balance. So you would have selected on balance here now. Int balance is equal to, you would have selected, this is first one, then you got the amount, then you'll do this, then third what you'll be doing is you'll select and you'll have this, then you'll update balance in account number 11 in the new balance account, update new balance. See, first you'll select the balance, then once you get the balance, what you'll do, you'll add to get what, the new balance. Whatever the balance, what will you do? Amount plus balance you'll add, and then when you have the new balance, that new balance, what you'll do, you'll update new balance in account number 11. Then next same thing you'll do now. Again what will you do? Int balance, select balance from, what you'll do, account number 33. So once you select, what will you do? Int amount is 5,000 now. So int new balance, what will be this time? Balance minus amount. Okay, there it was. Sorry, here. Okay, one is minus and the other one will be plus. So then you'll update new balance in account number. So there it is minus, here it will be plus. Account number 33. Getting it now? So in your writing logics now, you have to write many queries together and you want all the queries to execute at one go. Okay, see, this query also should execute, this one also should happen, this one also should happen, and this one also should happen. If all of them happen only, then only you will tell your logic has got executed successfully. Supposingly, you will withdraw, assuming that these two operations are doing what? These two are doing withdraw operation. Withdraw from account number 11. These two operations. And these two are doing what? Deposit in account number 33. Understood? Assuming that you will withdraw, supposingly it is not deposited. Now what will happen? It is wrong now. The logic really goes wrong now. You will withdraw, but you are not deposited. Or sometimes what will happen? You'll like that. Means you have withdrawn, but you are not deposited. So like this, the problem should not occur. If here what happens, you want all the queries should execute. This one is on query, this one is on query, this one is one more query, this one is on one more query. Totally 4 queries are there now. And you want all the queries to run as one single unit now. Understood? If one query doesn't execute, you don't want all the 4 queries to not to execute. You don't want all the 4 queries to execute. Either execute all the 4 or do not execute one of them also. That's what transaction means. Either all or none. The real meaning of transaction is what now? Transaction means either all or none. And now see, this is the concept what I need now. So now see, this logic you can write using any language. C, C++, Java, C#, VB. There are plenty of languages available on earth for you to code. But this is the logic I want to write in my application now. Yes or no? So transaction is a subject related to what? Database, and that support we have to do apply the transaction in our application now. So since means we have to apply it in our application. So since we are doing this coding in our application, okay, the language has to give the support to you. One is the language can give the support from its library, or you have to sit and write the code for all this. So it's a complicated process, but Java gives you very easy solution for all this. You don't have to worry too much about all this. Looks complicated, but once I show you in Java, it's going to be very simple because of its library. Understood? So this is the whole thing what we need now. So are you clear with the concept now? Okay, so let's see how you get the transaction support in Java, that is in JDBC technology. So in JDBC technology, see, JDBC is a technology, right? It's a library. It's a library. So you have this support in this library now. In which library? JDBC API or JDBC technology. So let's start seeing how to do it. Are you clear with the concept now? Withdraw from one place and deposit into other place. So don't think always withdrawing and depositing is only transaction, and nothing like that. Transaction means either all the queries should execute or none of them should execute. That is the actual meaning of transaction. Generally, according to your transaction means what? Going to ATM and withdrawing money, that is transaction, you'll tell. Okay, that's not the concept. Transaction means either all the queries should execute or none of them should execute. There also it is correct. First you'll see the balance, then you'll withdraw. Okay, then it has to update. After giving you the money, it has to update now. So many operations should happen. So either all should happen or none of them should happen. That is the actual meaning of transaction. Understood? So we'll see this with an example, good example. So same example we'll take. So doing transaction in Java is dead easy, damn easy. You don't have to worry. In Java, let's straight away see an example. See, I'll be having one table now. I'll create one table. Same things. What table I have got here, I'll be creating that same table now. Okay, the account, that name of the table would be account. First I'll show you the table. Log into Apex. Understand concepts. Output you get later. Without understanding concept, there is no way you can get the output here. You people are always in a hurry to get what? Output. But you don't know what output only you want to get. What logic only you want to write, you don't know. But you'll say what? I want to write logic. I want to write logic. That is nuisance. First understand what we want to do now. And once you understand what you want to do, doing it is very easy in Java language because of its library. Understood? So that's what I'm covering now. Just check now what we do. Yeah, if there is an account table, it will drop it. Right now it is not there. So table or view does not exist. So fine, next I'll create the table. Done. So once the table is created, I'll insert few records there. And commit. See, generally when you are writing queries now, here in Apex this has been enabled. If this is disabled now, values will not be saved in the database. See, browse. Okay, anyway, it was commit was there. Okay, so if it is enabled, all the data would have been saved. See here, data, you can see all the records. But if it is disabled, it will not be saved. Okay, so anyway, I'll just commit it once again still. Okay, so fine, statement processed. So then next, so now we have the table here. Done. So what is our requirement now? You know our requirement, transfer now from here to here. So finally what should happen? This should become 30,000 and this should become 20,000. Looks complicated, very simple. 4 queries I write, you will get the output now. Understood? So now see, you have a database. Now you can use any language to do this now. I can use C, C++, VB, any language. But we prefer to do it in Java because of its library. So let us see how you do the transaction using the Java language now. And that's what the title comes up. Transaction management in JDBC. Understood? So this is a general subject. Generally people will think what, if they don't understand transaction, they'll blame it on Java. Java has nothing to be blamed here. Java is only giving you support for what? All your programming problems and concepts. So until and unless you don't know the problem and concept, Java you will have to struggle to understand. So first understand the concept, then only you can understand the support now. So done. So once this is done, next what we'll do? See this, very simple. I'm having one, see, I can write all the logic in main method. Generally we do not do it. Okay, because we want to reuse the logic now, so we'll write it in separate classes. So there's one class called as account. In that there's a method called as transfer. Okay, anyway these values will come dynamically later on, you will understand. Account number 11, 33 will all come dynamically, but I want to transfer 5,000. So all these values will come dynamically into your program from the UI. So right now I'm hard coding. So what I'll do, as soon as I get the values, I'll send those values to one method called as transfer. So this is my class, what I have written. Understood? So this is my class, what I have written. That means you can have written all this logic in what? Main method, but we write it in other classes. Reason is we want to reuse now. So let's see this now. Very simple now. You should have to, you should be able to understand this now. So the method now is saying what? Source account, destination account, amount. 11 is what? You're sending 3 arguments now. 11 is what? Source account. 33 is what? Destination account. 5,000 is what? Amount. So they are the 3 values which will enter into the transfer method. So that's it. So now see this. You're having some more variables here, local variables in the method. What are different variables? Okay. So destination account balance. Source account balance. Destination account, new balance. Source account, new balance. 4 variables I'm having now. Destination account balance, source account balance, destination account, new balance, and source account, new balance. Connection, prepared statement, results are fine. So then next, I'll be using the util class to get the connection. Understood now? So where is my util class now? com.cluster.util package. So I have to import it. Understood now? To get the connection, I'll be using the dbutil. You know, I have shown you the dbutil class now. This is a dbutil now. So then next, to get the db connection, what I'll do now? dbutil dot get connection. Yes. So now leave this method. That's only one method I'm writing now to do what? Transaction. Just one method I'm writing, calling to do what? Transaction. So I'll come to that method just a second now. See this. See, these are the different operations you have to do. You have to select the balance from what? Account number. So once you get it, what will you do? From the source account you are getting now. I'll create on prepared statement. Once I create the prepared statement, I'll get the balance. If balance is there, what will I do? Fine, I'll get the balance, source account balance. Else, if that account number only is not there, what will I do? I have to stop the execution. So I will throw the exception. Supposing account number 11 is not there, I can enter 99 also. No, it is not there. So if source account is not there, what should I do? I'll throw the exception. Fine. If it is there, I'll retrieve the value. Then next, okay, apart from that, source balance should be greater than the amount now. Source balance should be what? Greater than the amount to be transferred. If source is only 2,000 and you want to transfer 5,000, from where will the source amount be transferred now? So source amount should always be greater than the amount you want to transfer. So that is the source balance is greater than amount. What will I do? I will withdraw. So then next, else if it is not greater, what will I do? Again I will stop the execution. See, this is one operation. This entire thing is one operation. Yes or no? Selecting and all that is one operation. Now the second operation starts. Update account, set balance is equal to, where account number is equal to so and so. See, I got the new balance now. Service account new balance is equal to, I got the new balance. So that new balance, what I'll do now? I'll update it into the account table. Means, supposingly if it was 35,000, the new balance would be what? 30,000. Because you are subtracting. Source balance is what? 35,000 minus amount is what? When you wrote the query, when get balance, what is the value of source balance? Source account balance? 35,000. So next what I'll be doing is, source account new balance is equal to 35,000 minus 5,000, which is 30,000. So source account new balance. So then that value new balance, I'll update it into the table now. So that has been updated to what now? 30,000. Okay. Now you have to transfer. See now this user also should be there. Destination account should also be there. If he is not there, that also problem now. Both should be there. Supposing I want to transfer from 11 to 88. 88 is not there means what now? So that's what. See, if get the balance, else what will you do? Throw the exception. Stop the execution. If at all that balance is not there, stop the execution. Else what will I do? Destination account new balance is equal to new balance. Account balance plus amount. These are all logics which you have to write. Once I have completed JDBC, it is your duty to write these kind of logics. Understood? So like this. So then finally you'll update that amount. That's it. So here all the queries should execute at one go. Understood now? If one fails also, all should fail. Means all should not execute. That is what is the meaning of transaction. So totally there are 4 queries. Select, update, Again, third operation is what? Select only, because I'm using prepared statement. Again, one more is what? Fourth one is update. So this is what I have to do now. So let's see how you do it now. Okay. So this is fine. So first I'll show you without transaction. Understood? See, by default what happens is, whenever you are executing the queries from Java to database, have you noticed that all the values are getting committed by default? Understood? See, till now I noticed, see, this is your Java program. See, this is your Java program. I'll say insert, I'll say update, means you write any query and execute it. So what will happen? Once I say insert, it is inserted. Okay, means by default commit is happening. By default commit is happening. You say insert, st.execute, insert. What will happen now? One row is definitely inserted now if your query is correct. But let us take a scenario here now. I am doing two queries. Okay, so what will happen now? One will execute. If there is problem in the second one, only second one will not execute, but the first one executes now. Means by default what is happening? As soon as one query executes, by default it is getting committed. Again one more query executes, it is getting committed. Again one more query executes, it will get committed. So by default, every SQL query is getting committed. Understood? So now see, if you apply that now, what will happen now? From one account it will be withdrawn, but destination account is not there, what will happen now? There it will not be deposited, but withdrawal definitely will happen now. And that is the problem here. So means I want all the queries or none of them. By default, individually all of them are executing separately. Okay, so to solve this problem now, if you want to run it in one go, what you do is, you got the connection object now. Okay, just disable the auto commit now. What you will do? Just disable the auto commit. By default it is committing. Okay, so disable it. So if you say con.set auto commit, there's a method con.set auto commit, and you have to send a value called boolean value called as false. So this entire code will be written in try block. Okay, so and after you complete after all the queries are completed execution, then what will you do? You'll say commit. Then you'll say commit. But if any query fails, what will happen? You'll catch that exception and you don't want any to execute now. So what will you do? Very simple. You'll say con dot rollback. Just 3 methods you have to use. Just 3 methods. Which are? Set auto commit false, commit, rollback. That's it. Your transaction is over. So how many are queries you have written here? Either all of them will execute or none of them will execute. If this one executes, see, it is executing. Changes are happening in the database, but it is not committed. Next query will execute. Again it is, you can have more queries. st.execute, delete. Many you can have. I'm just writing few here. Any kind of operations you can do. Select, update, delete, anything. Write 100 queries, no problem. Okay, so what will happen now? The first query executes. Changes have been made in the database. Changes have been made, but it is not committed. Second query executes. Okay, changes have been made in the database, but it is not committed. Like that, all the queries will execute. Okay, and when all the queries executes, then commit will happen. Means that then the changes in the database will be made permanent. Okay, and fine. Catch block will not execute now. By chance, first query executes, second query executes. Look at the other way now. Third query fails to execute. That time what will happen? Exception occurs. Straight away control will come from try to catch. Commit has not happened. Understood? And it will roll back. Means the changes whatever have been done. First query executed, changes have been done. Second query executed, changes have been done. Changes have been done, but still not committed. Third query executes, but problem happens. So exception occurs, comes to catch block, roll back. So any changes done in the database will be rolled back. It will not be saved now. Understood? So if all the queries execute only, then only it will commit or it will roll back. Understood? So a transaction always end with any two things, either with commit or with rollback. If you do a transaction, it will either end with committing or with doing rollback. Understood? So transaction will always end like that. So either all or none. So always, see, you will be writing a lot of business logics now, because when you develop applications, there are a lot of business logics you'll be writing. So whenever you are doing writing business logics, remember that you'll be doing multiple you'll be writing multiple SQL queries like this, and many times you will want all the queries to execute as one unit or not at all. Means means this, they will not be treated as separate unit now. Transaction means they will be not treated as separate unit. All these queries will be treated as what? Single unit. All the three queries will be treated as single unit. Just put account.set.commit false outside. Understood? All the queries will be treated as a single unit now. So by default, what is happening? They are treated as, by default what was happening? Every query was treated as separate unit. But now all the three queries will be treated as single unit. Either all or none. That's all about transaction. Understood? So it looks simple, but there are more things to related to this. But in Java, the solution is given to you by three methods. So remember this: con.set.commit false, commit, and rollback. So in the try block, generally you'll be having what? Set.commit false, commit. In the catch block, you'll be doing rollback. And these are some of our interview questions now. How do you begin a transaction? They'll ask in JDBC. So in JDBC, we begin the transaction by calling what? Con.setAutoCommit false method. That's it. If you call that, the transaction begins. Understood? So now the autocommit is disabled, and you see, disabling the autocommit only begins the transaction. Simple. Disabling the autocommit only begins the transaction. Okay. So this is how you begin it. And now you have to either end it by committing or by doing rollback. That's it. And now this entire thing from here to here, what you're seeing here, this is one thing. Okay, this is one boundary. I draw two boundaries here. See, this is one boundary. This is one boundary, and the other boundary would be from here to here. There are two boundaries. Okay, I'm drawing it in red color. Just understand. See, either a transaction will end by ending by commit, or it will end by doing rollback. Understood? So this two things what you are saying is called as boundary of transaction. Now what do you mean by boundary of transaction? Boundary of transaction means the begin and end of transaction is only called as what? Boundary of transaction. That's the boundary. Okay, so the begin and end of transaction is only called as boundary of transaction. Very important interview question. What is the boundary of transaction? The begin and end of the transaction is only called as boundary of transaction. So a transaction I always begin and end with, always begin and end with either commit or rollback. Understood? So this boundary of transaction is sometimes also known as, one more terminology, transaction demarcation. Boundary of transaction, or it is also known as what? Transaction demarcation. These are the two terminologies. They'll ask you in interview, what is transaction demarcation or what is boundary of transaction? The answer to both of them is same. That's all I have done now. Just I have added what? Three methods. First I show you without the methods. Then I show you the effect of having the methods. First I show you without. Then I show you with the methods. Then automatically you will only understand what is transaction. Done? Shall I clear this now? This is a very important subject when you are writing logics. So practice all this. See here, everything you know, you saw the method con.set.commit false. This is the method I was talking about. So this is where you begin your transaction. So what will I do now? I will comment it. I'll remove it rather. I'll show you without transaction what happens. Then I'll remove even commit also. Understood? Then what will I do? I'll remove even rollback also. I'll give caret to. Okay, fine. This is about closing resources now. So let's see how you do it now. Yes. See, I'll transfer from account number 33 to account number 55. Is there an account number now 55? No. It is not there in the database table. See there. 55 is not there. So now let's see. I'll transfer. I'll just call this method now. End of main program. Fine. Let's go and check. See, 30,000 from 35,000 it changed to 30, but here no money. So generally it happens, your friend will transfer the money but you'll say I have not received. So see here, I made a mistake of making it as 55. Fine. But you think practically he might make error in typing the account number now. The user might make error in typing the account number. So he thinks he has done it correctly, money has been debited, but he will say, the other person will tell what? I didn't receive the money only. So this is the problem. Are you following now? So you want all of them to happen or none of them to happen. Like this you can try many permutation and combinations. Source account only is not there, but money will be deposited into what? That person. Source account only is not there, but it will be deposited into your account. Like from A account I want to transfer it into B account. A is not there, but still it will be deposited into what? B. Like that. All permutation and combination you try. So the requirement is now what? Either all the queries should execute or none of them should execute. So anyway, I'll continue from where I did it here only. So what I'll do, I'll change it to what? 33 now. Done? Okay. So again what I'll do? Okay, shall I continue like this only? From 30 it will become what now? 25 and this will become what? 20. Okay, just see this now. Or if not, I'll do it from the beginning only. Very clear it will be now. I'll drop the table. So fine, now you can go and check. Refresh. So you have the data 35, 60 and 15. So now I'll execute now. So this is the main program, and remember all your files should be kept in separate Java file. All your classes should be kept in separate Java files. Fine. So I'm using 3 files here: account.java, transaction.demo.java, dbutil.java. 3 classes but in 3 separate files. Okay, fine. Let's execute now. 1133 5000. It's perfect. Transferred money successfully. Now go and check. So this is what we want now. 30 and 20. Understood? I'll make mistakes now. Do whatever you want. I'll make 55. Whatever you want, you do. It has completed execution, but money has not got. I have not enabled the transaction. So if you don't want this problem to happen, what you should do now? You have to start the transaction. So how will you do the transaction now? Yes, now it will start. So what you will do? Con dot set auto commit false. That's it. And then you will do what? Con dot commit. And again it has to either end by commit or by doing rollback. Okay, now let's see this. Again I'll redo everything. Let's create the table now. So this time we'll be running in what? Transaction. Either all or none. See, till now I was running without transaction. Be clear. But this time I'll be running with transaction. Understood? Yes, from account number 11 to 33 I'll transfer first. First I'll do this. And let's see the data first. $35, $60, $15. Perfect it is. Now this time careful now. We are going with transaction. See this carefully now. Money transferred successfully. Fine. So 30, 20. Understood? And again I'll run. Money transferred successfully. So what will happen now? 25, 25. Again I'll run. 20, 30. Fine. All this is perfect now. Means fine. Anyway, we are giving till now correct values. Not a problem. But if I give wrong values, let's see what happens. So account number I'll give it as what? 55. Done. So what is the current value now? 20 and 30. So actually this should become what? 15 and 35. 15 and 35. But now source account is correct. Destination account is wrong. Yes or no? It should become 15 and 35. So source account should become 15. Destination account should become 35. But let's see when you execute what happens. Exception will occur. Fine. Money not transferred successfully. Some messages are printed. So check this out. Go there and check. It remains same. It remains same. It remains same. But the same if I give correct value, it will definitely transfer. I run it now. See this. Either all or none. You know what a huge subject it was. But Java solution to that is what? So simple. 3 methods. Con.set.commit false, commit and rollback. So it will roll back all the changes. Whatever changes has been. If any one query also doesn't execute or fails to execute, all the changes in the database will be rolled back. Understood? So that is about transaction. Let's see some notes on transaction now. See this. So when a new connection object is created, understand these points very carefully now. When a new connection object is created, it is set to commit what? Every SQL query execution automatically. By default, the connection object will be committing every query. Understood? So that is the problem. This means that every time SQL statement is executed, it is committed to the database and cannot be rolled back. Supposingly I run without transaction. If I run without transaction, what will happen? See this. This is your first one. Assuming that this will be withdrawn and it will also be deposited. But destination account only is not there means? Destination account is not there means what will happen? Still the changes have been made in the database. Why? Because by default connection is committing. Connection object is committing every time after the execution of every SQL query. Understood? So means if you don't say con.set.commit false, it will be committing after every query execution. If you don't say this. Understood? So that's why what we'll do, we'll say con.set.commit false. Now it is not committing. Changes are happening, but it is not committing. Committing means saving. Changes will happen, but it will not save in the database. Commit is a word related to database. So commit in database means save. Understood? It will not save now. Save the changes. So like that, that is what is the meaning of this point. Are you clear this point? The first point, a very crucial point. When a new connection object is created, it is set to commit what? Every SQL query execution automatically. This means that every time SQL statement is executed, it is committed to the database and cannot be rolled back. Cannot roll back now. Once it is committed, fine. You cannot roll back now. So fine. The following methods, look at the next point now. The following methods in the connection interface are used to demarcate transactions and either commit or roll them or commit them to database. These are the 3 methods you use. Following now. These are the 3 methods use in order to begin a transaction. How do you begin a transaction now? In order to begin a transaction, we call set auto commit false. This gives us the control over what is committed and when you want to commit. Wherever you want, you can commit now. Okay. So a call to the commit method will commit all the changes. A rollback call will undo all the changes. But once a commit is issued, those transactions cannot undo with the rollback. A transaction should end either by doing what? Commit or by rollback. It should end either of these 2 ways. Next. This point you see now. Consider the scenario, the same example what I gave you now. Consider the scenario of transferring 5,000 from account number 11 to account number 33. Finally, account number will have 30,000 and 33 will have 20,000 as balance. This is the table what we took. So transfer 5,000 from account number 11 to account number 33. This is the example we took. See, in the above scenario, we are doing many SQL operations like select, update, etc. When all the SQL operations are completed, then only we have to issue the commit. But by default, getting this point now? If you don't do a transaction, but by default, connection is issuing commit at the end of every database operation. This is because of auto commit is by default true. Okay, to manage the transaction in your own and to issue commit or rollback based on the requirement, you should disable the auto commit by calling the following method on the connection object. You call this method. Done? Okay, so you will call this method. Now what does this method do now? This statement disables the auto commit. It disables the auto commit. You understanding what is this method doing now? This will disable the auto commit and starts the transaction. After starting the transaction, you can do multiple database operations as you like. Okay, finally at the end of transaction, issue commit or rollback. Simple. You have a very big requirement, and Java solution you saw is very simple. By calling just 3 methods, you have solved all your problems of transaction. Done? Fine. Next, following is the piece of code to manage transaction in JDBC. This is the code I wrote. So what did I do? Con dot set auto commit false. Operation 1, operation 2, operation 3, do as many operations you want. But first say set auto commit false, and then say commit or you do rollback. So now if you do a transaction, all these 3 queries, this is a separate unit now. Yes or no? There are 3 separate units, but once you begin a transaction, what happens? All of them will be treated as one single unit. There are 3 queries, but they will be treated as one single unit now. Operation 1 is one query, operation 2 is one query. Earlier, if you don't begin a transaction, this is one unit, this is one unit, this is one unit. So totally there are 3 units. But now when you begin a transaction, all the 3 units will be considered as one single unit, either all or none. Clear this? Fine. So this is how it is done. Shall I clear what I have written? You got the idea now? Fine. Just because my document will become clear here. Fine. So all these 3 will become what? One single unit now. Fine. So now see, following is a piece of code to manage transaction in JDBC. How do you do it? Begin the transaction, you will end it. You will end it either by committing or by doing rollback. And this is called as boundary of transaction, or also known as what? Transaction demarcation. Both words are correct. Transaction demarcation. Very important interview question. Now see here, the beginning and end of the transaction is known as boundary of transaction. It is also known as transaction demarcation. Clear? Clear this now? Yes, good. So like this, say, transaction is a subject which is learned with experience, not theoretical like this. I guess, see, I just wanted to explain you transaction. So I just created one scenario and made you understand the meaning of what is a transaction. But when you go on developing applications, the meaning of transaction will be more clear and clear for you. Because see, when you develop applications, see, this is your UI. This will be your application. This will be the database. Just understand how much of transaction will be doing. Every click you do here means user will enter something, name, password, anything like this. So he'll be giving values. Once he gives the values, what will happen? The values will come to your program and your application will interact with the database. So you're interacting with the database. Generally it so happens that okay, every click of your application will be interacting with the database, and always you'll be doing transactions in the projects now. Okay, means almost all it will be like every time the user is clicking on some option here, behind the scene you'll be doing what? Some transaction. Means either all or none queries. Either execute all the queries or none of them, because there will be series of operations which will be happening. Okay, so you'll be either doing all or none. So as you go on coding generally, I'm talking from the application point of view now. Every click of the button will be interacting with the database, remember that. So when it's interacting with database, there will be many queries you'll be executing like this. Like I want to transfer. See, the scenario is what now? Transfer from account number to, see, from account number to account number and amount. So this is your user screen. Think practically now. Understood? So from account number to account number, or you can have your own UIs. Just I'm drawing on rough UI here. So from account number to account number, amount you want to transfer. So all these values are entering into the application. But how many queries you will write now? Minimum you will write 4 queries now. Just now what you did. Selecting, updating, again selecting, updating. So obviously either all or none. So every time you write logic in your application, okay, always all your application logic will be running in a transaction only, maximum number of times. So as you go on coding projects, applications, these concepts become more and more clear to you. Just I told you this is one part of your project. Okay, but obviously in all the modules of your project, this will be happening. You'll be having many modules. Your project will be very big. In every module, this transaction will go on happening. Just I created one scenario and went on to explain you what is a transaction. Understood? Clear this? Okay. Now I'll give you one more example of transaction so that things become clearer to you. Understood? So remember, throughout your life you will do transaction. This is not a new subject because you can see the practical usage of a transaction now. Okay, and as you go on coding every day, this subject becomes more and more clearer to you, not with a single example. Done? Okay. Just this one concept what I introduced. So fine. Now this is one example I gave you. I'll give you one more example. Okay. Let's take on UI now. So enter employee ID, enter name, assuming that there is an admin screen. So he's creating a new employee. There is some project now, and in that project the admin is going to create an employee now. So he will say enter phone numbers, enter phone 1, enter phone 2, like this. He's correcting some details. See, this is your UI. See, one more scenario I'll give you now. So user is giving some 3-4 values, that is okay. Understood? So fine, when these values enter into application, see, all this will happen dynamically, ID, ED and all will happen dynamically, but just get the concept now. So some values are coming into your application. So once this application gets the value, these values you have to dump it into database. Yes or no? So now looking at the UI, carefully notice, how will you create your employee table now? Definitely we'll be creating 2 tables, not single table. Okay, one employee with many phones. Yes or no? One employee is going to have what? Many phones, because tomorrow one more UI might be, one more field might be added here. One more field might be added or removed. So there's a possible chance of what now? One to many. So when there is one to many, what will I do in the database now? I'll have one employee table and I'll have one, this will be the tables now. Employee ID, name, assuming that salary or what I'm having, let's see. Yes, salary. So this is one table now. And there will be one more table which I will create now called as phone. Phone ID. I need placement. First I'll draw phone only. See, this will be one table. One more table will be there. Employee ID, name and salary. So this is how the 2 tables will be there, and this will be the employee table. Fine, perfect. So you have designed your tables now. So UI will bring the values to you, and now you have to dump these values into the tables of the database. Now see, you'll be writing, how many queries will you write now? Think. Obviously write 3 queries. One query to insert name and salary into name and salary into what? Employee table. One more query you will insert into, means one phone number you will insert into a phone table. Again one more query you will write to insert the value into phone table. So 2 inserts for phone and 1 insert for employee. Yes or no? One insert in employee table. This is the concept. 2 insert in phone table. So this is what you have to write now. So now, okay. Now let's assume the phone number I have given maximum of 5 digits. Example. Okay. The constraint I have given now 5 digits. Okay. We can take the constraint as 5 digits and I made it as 5. So means when he is entering the phone number, he has to give only what now? 5 digits. Only 5 digits he should give. If he gives more than that, okay, it should not save 1 also. Means see, it is invalid data now. By chance if he gives a wrong value, what will happen now? Employee will be inserted. One phone number will be inserted, but the second phone number is not inserted. Getting the problem now? I want all the 3 queries. Now there are totally how many? 3 queries. So I want all the 3 queries to run as what? One single unit. This is one more example I am taking. Understood? I want all the 3 queries to run as one single unit now. Understood? So, but if I don't do the transaction, what will happen now? First insert will execute and changes will happen and it will commit. Now second insert for the phone will happen and then what will happen? Changes will happen and it will commit. But when the third one fails, supposing I give 6 digits, for which one? Second phone number. 2 values have got inserted but the third one fails. Now this is invalid data now. So I want what now? The scenario is what? I want all the queries to execute or none of them to execute. It's as simple as that. Don't think transaction means what? Always according to transaction means what? Taking money, giving money. That is not transaction. Transaction means what actually? Either all or none. Either all your queries should execute or none of them should execute. Because first I have to make you understand the meaning of the word transaction. Once you understand the meaning of the word transaction, then I can explain how to do transaction here. Problem is in your head now, the meaning of transaction is only something. Understood? So I have to change that first. Transaction means what? Either all the queries should execute or none of them should execute. Then I have to teach how to do it. Correct or no? So that's what is the concept now. So what will I do now? All these queries, I'll say con dot set auto commit false. That's it. Means I'll disable. I'll show you how to write the queries. Then I'll do what? Con dot commit. Means this will be in try. And in catch, what will I do? Con dot rollback. Simple man, over. By chance, if the user is giving all correct values, then it will be dumped. Else it will roll back. So like this, when you are building applications now, you will be interacting with the database. And always you will be doing transactions. So in one project there will be many modules. And in every module you will be hitting the database. And every time you hit the database, what will you do? You will do the transaction. And it is learned with experience now. These are some scenarios which I am just creating and giving an idea. Like the same scenarios will be coming across in projects also. Done? Shall I show you this code now? You should get the idea. It's hardly very simple now. Insert into this one. Insert into this one. That's it. Is that clear? This one diagram. So either all or none. Database is here, but tables are drawn here. Yeah? Fine. But doing it in Java, this concept, doing it in Java is very simple now. The same if you want to do it with some other language, how difficult it is. Think like that. Understood? So first I will see, this is the next program I am taking. Till now I was explaining the 15th example, transaction transfer money. Now I will go with the next program, transaction, 2 tables. So let's see, employee.txt. So first I will execute all these queries. I will create the tables. See there, and I can go with what? Primary key, foreign key also, all that. So here what I will be doing is, first you will relate the tables. When you are splitting the data into 2 tables, what will you do? You will relate the tables. Anyway, I will run the query. Table is not there, fine. But EMP table is there. You will drop. So first I'll create the EMP table. Then I'll create what? Phone table. After creating that EMP and phone table, then I'll add the constraints. I'll add the primary key constraint on employee, and then I'll add the primary key constraint on phone also. Then I'll add what? Foreign key constraint. Fine. So all these queries I got executed now. Done? So now let's come and check. So refresh. Now you can see there are two. One is the EMP. There is no data still. Other one is the phone table. So there is no data, but you can see there are three columns: phone ID, employee ID, and phone number. The one which I have drawn there. The other one would be employee ID name, and salary. Same two tables which I have drawn, and I have related them. Okay. Constraints. In employee there is one primary key. In phone there are two constraints: one primary key and foreign key. Fine. Means invalid data will not be stored. So let's see this now. I think it's very simple now. Con dot set auto commit false. That's it. And you'll say con dot commit. So one insert. See 101 Rajesh 1000. Okay. Then fine 1 2. This is what? Phone ID. But these IDs will be generating dynamically. Don't worry. Okay. These IDs will be generating dynamically. Okay. But Rajesh 1000. So 1 2 3 4 5 means 5 ones are given. If all is correct, it will insert. Else what will happen? None of them will execute. So 3 queries have to be executed. Done? You know the queries now. Very simple. Same it is. Very simple program. Very small program also. But if I don't do a transaction, what will happen? 2 might get inserted, 1 might fail. I'll show you that also. Done? So first I'll show you. Without transaction or with transaction you want? Without transaction or with? Without, we'll see. First. And now see, I'll give 6 digits. How many digits are there? 6 digits. And you can see the constraint what I've created here is the size of the column I've given as 5. Yes or no? 5. Phone number 5. So I'll run now. So it will give an error. Phone number, actual size is 6, but you are given 5. All that is okay. End of main program. But the problem is, what has happened? In EMP, he has been inserted. But in phone table, there is no data. It's invalid now. Either all or none. Yes? So that is the problem. So let's see how you solve this now. I'll delete this record now. And I'll do it with what? So right now in EMP there is no data. Understood? And in phone there is no data. I'll do it with a transaction. Same thing. So you have enabled transaction. How do you enable transaction? By saying con.setAutoCommit false. And now I'll give one value 6. Yes or no? Last time it was executing, but this time it will not execute. Let's see. Employee not inserted, fine. But let's see what has happened. In EMP, data, no record. In phone, also. Phone also there is no record. It's fine, but the same. I'll give 5 digits, correct, and I'll do it with the transaction. You see like that, all the queries has single unit now. Understood? Yes, definitely it will insert. Either all or none. EMP, one data, phone, 2 records. Perfect now, this is what you wanted. But solution from Java is how much? So simple. All the queries you are running in a transaction. Done? So this is a subject which you learn with experience. Just to expose the concept to you. As and when you go on coding, every time you write your application logic, you'll be hitting the database. And every time you'll be doing the transaction. So when you go on doing, more and more, clarity will start getting on the subject. Understood? So you cannot write your application without what? Transactions. That is why transaction becomes a very, very, very important interview question. In whichever interview you go, it's a major question. Because without transaction, there's no point in writing what? Application logic. So how do you do a transaction in JDBC? Very important interview question. Understood? So we do it by using what? By disabling the auto commit. If you disable auto commit, transaction has been enabled. How do you do it? By calling the method con.set auto commit first. That's it, over. That is a simple answer. So simple answer it is. Done? Okay, so I've given you all the notes on transaction. Some more points are there. But as far as you're thinking, now transaction from the fresher's point of view, it has been done. But if you are working in company and if you are having 2 years, 3 years of experience, there are more questions which will come out on transaction. It's a very vast subject, very huge subject. Transaction is a very, very vast subject. Generally, people think what, when you're developing an application, writing logic is very, very difficult. Writing logic is not at all difficult. It is the easiest thing in the world. But when you're interacting with database, there are so many problems you'll face. Generally, a developer gets stuck when you're interacting with the database only. Understood? That is what people don't realize. So always you should be strong in database and this backend, which one? JDBC. How strong you are in these two things, Java and which one? JDBC and database, that better you can write your applications. Instead of JDBC, you can use other technologies also. Hibernate, JPA, IBATIS, many are there. But you should be strong in both the things, database and any one of these persistent technology, any of the technology. I'm just showing you JDBC here. Understood? Later on you'll be seeing Hibernate also, JPA also I'll be showing you. So you should be strong in these two things. Writing logic is going to be very simple. I'll tell you very clearly about that also. Fine. So now let us explore some more things into transaction. More things also I'll be covering in the next session. Okay. Some more points on transaction are now, see this. We can divide the transaction into two types based on the number of data stores participating in the transaction. Clear? Clear this? Local transaction, distributed transaction. Till now I am showing you what? Local transaction. In local transaction what happens? When a single data store, meaning database, is participating in a transaction, then it is called as local transaction. In a local transaction, applications perform database read and write operations over a single connection object. You are using only one object here, connection. Con.set auto commit false, con.commit, con.row. Only one object is there. Yes. So consider the scenario, you have to transfer the funds from one account to another account where both accounts are in the same bank. That is single data store. This we did. Means assuming that there is a method called as funds transfer. In deposit you can write on logic, you can write two queries to select and update. Again in withdraw also you can write two queries, select and update. And you can call those two methods. Like that also you can write the logic. I just showed you all in one place, but you can write like this also. But anyway, the funds transfer logic can be written like this. So this is called as what now? Local transaction. Now let's see what is the distributed transaction. Distributed transaction. When multiple data stores are participating in transaction, then it is called as distributed transaction. This is the current trend in the industry today. Industry, this is what is happening. Consider the scenario, you want to transfer the funds from one bank account to another bank account in a different bank. Means from HDFC bank I want to transfer to what? ICICI bank. Or from your account you want to buy online ticket, railways ticket. So all means what? Two databases now. So now one database will have one connection object. Yes or no? This will have one connection object. This will have another connection object. So now things will become more interesting also and vast also. So anyway, right now you don't worry about all this distributed transaction. You focus only on local transaction. Just theoretically I am explaining to you. The solution to all this will be shown to you in the advanced technologies like Spring, EJB and all that. Because JDBC does not support what? Distributed transaction. Understood? So note, JDBC API by default supports only local transaction, but it can support distributed transaction with help of a JEE application server. There is one application server. We'll see what it is by using the JTA API. One more API is there called as Java Transaction API. So if you club JDBC with JTA, one more API it is, then you can get the support of distributed transaction. Right now we are going with JDBC API. So there is no point in discussing JTA, which will be covered later. But are you clear with what is local transaction and distributed transaction? Fine. Theoretically understand all this you should know. Later on these concepts, these are all again what? Concepts. Solution to this is very simple in Java. You don't have to worry. Understood? Next. We can also divide the transaction into two types based on the nesting. Okay, and JDBC supports only flat transaction and does not support nested transaction. There are two types, flat transaction and nested transaction. The example which I gave you is what? Flat transaction means it will begin like this and it will commit or roll back. Okay, but nested transaction means it will be like this. Really complicated. You are beginning transaction 1. Inside that transaction you are doing what? One more transaction. And okay, you might commit it, but still transaction 1 is open. Understood? Now transaction is 3 is there. Transaction 3 is running in what? Transaction 1. Again in transaction 3 you are running what? Transaction 4. Like this is nested transaction. So JDBC does not support what? Nested transaction. Okay, but it supports flat transactions. This point I have given you very clearly. JDBC supports only flat transaction and does not support nested transaction. We'll see the solutions later, but right now we are coming across these many problems. So that is why we use more advanced technologies. Instead of JDBC, what we do? Even though JDBC means you should know the reason. When JDBC is there, why should I learn Hibernate? When Hibernate is there, why should I learn Spring? Like this, there are many questions which will come. Okay, the only reason why we use those advanced technologies is because they give you solution to all these kind of problems. So the better the technology you use in your project, the more efficiently you can write code in your projects, because your projects will have a lot of requirement, and the current existing old technologies, the old technologies will not give you complete support for that. That is when we start using the new technologies. New technologies is nothing but again what? Library, jar file. Same story. I'll add some more jars and I'll use their classes like that. Fine. Anyway, flat and nested. Are you clear with this? Okay. See, the different persistent technology frameworks currently available in the market are JDBC is there, EJB is there, Hibernate is there, IBAT is there. So many are there. We are now discussing how to do persistent operations using JDBC and how to do transaction using JDBC. Again, later on you have to understand what? How do you do persistent operation with Hibernate? Then how do you do transaction in Hibernate? How do you do persistent operations with EJB? And how do you do transactions with EJB? That's what you have to understand. But remember, you don't have to learn all now. As a good Java developer, if you know these three things, it's more than sufficient. JDBC, EJB and Hibernate. And all the three I'll be covering. Because these are Sun specified technologies. Means Sun has set the specification for them. These are proprietary solutions. Proprietary means it is given to you by even Hibernate is third party. Hibernate is third party. This one and this one are third party solution. But among the third party solution, Hibernate is very popular. Very popular. Those two are Sun specified. Those two are Sun specified. These three are proprietary. So among all the proprietary solutions, there are still many. Hibernate is more popular. So I'll be covering Hibernate, JDBC and EJB. So that will be more than sufficient. Now your interview questions. Some 3-4 questions I have listed. Note it down. How do you begin a transaction in JDBC? We begin a transaction in JDBC by calling the set auto commit method on the connection object. That's it. Very simple question, very simple answer. This statement disables the auto commit and starts the transaction. That's it, over. Next point. Who is the transaction manager in JDBC? Means who is controlling the transaction? Connection object is the transaction manager in JDBC. So remember, this becomes the most important interview question because there are many persistent technologies, like as I told you, JDBC, Spring, EJB, IBAT and all that. So in one technology there is one transaction manager. In one technology there is one transaction, means it will be taking care of the transaction. Like how in JDBC connection is taking care of the transaction, there they'll be having their own class, okay, which will be taking care of their transaction. So that you should know. Next, see this point in projects only you will understand. Just write it down. Later on you will understand this. Where will you have the boundary of transaction? The boundary of transaction will always be there in the service layer. This is also a very important question, very important answer. But meaning of this gradually you'll understand when you do projects. Clear this? Okay. So that completes a transaction with JDBC. There are some more points which I have to cover in transaction. That is the meaning of asset properties, which I'll be doing it in next session. Understood? So when I do it in next session, asset properties. What is asset? Okay. So from an interview point of view, this is more than sufficient. But I will talk more on asset properties and use some more information. This information will help you for your lifetime. Understood? And it will give you excellent control over doing transactions. You know how to do it, but you'll get more clarity on the subject of transaction. So next session I'll talk more on the asset properties. Okay. So if you do a transaction, in fact, you get the acid support, we say. Okay, means if you do a transaction, you get atomicity. Everybody knows full form. There's no doubt about it. But if you ask them to explain what is atomicity, consistency, isolation, I heard it somewhere, they'll say. That is not the answer you have to give in the interview, which is what I'll be giving it in the next session for you. Durability. You should know each and everything in depth about this. A transaction guarantees you asset properties. There's more to transaction. Okay. And this is subject related to completely transaction. So first understand this concept. And then we will understand how it is supported by Java again. Always you have to learn like that. First you learn the concept separately. Then you see how it is applied by Java. Learn like that. So libraries have to be learned like this. Understood? So tomorrow we'll cover, or in the next session we'll cover in asset properties and the support given by Java to all this. Yeah? Okay, that's it.